Thank you so much, Mike, for coming tonight, and it's such a pleasure to meet you. I have met a few people from Bitgo, but I know you're the co-founder and the CEO, and great pleasure.
Us. Thank you.
And I'm really impressed by the fact that obviously Bitgo, as you were just telling me, is based in Palo Alto. Fabulous, because just like to see more of FinTech companies here in the Valley. And also that you've had a round of funding as well, which is impressive. And I just wondered how you found the atmosphere, how you found the climate in the Valley to support your company.
Well, I've been in Silicon Valley for, I don't know, 25 years, pretty much my whole career. Startups is what it's been about. And Silicon Valley has figured out how to build startups and foster that environment. And I think the community of people, the folks that are here, are very much about innovation and change. So that's here. And of course, that's what I grew up in. Now, what's new for me is fintech. It's a little bit different than standard Silicon Valley, and I think it's going to take a different breed, kind of going forward. Like um, Silicon Valley is ruthless in having companies succeed quickly or fail. And some people make an analogy to Darwinism, right? Which is like you either eat or be eaten, and that's what happens. But in the fintech world in particular, we have to marry not just tech, but we have to marry compliance and risk and legal constraints. And these are things that Silicon Valley is not traditionally good at. And an investor doesn't like to say, okay, I'll give you $5 million to go sort out your compliance, and then you go build a product after that. They want to see a product, they want to see it now. And the investments that it takes to get the legal compliance and risk side taken care of, that's not something that we're used to here.
Well, thanks for that explanation. And so, what was it, being a serial entrepreneur as you are, that drew you to be attracted? What's the passion behind your company?
Well, like a lot of folks, I got the Bitcoin bug, and I'm not wed to Bitcoin like some people completely are on just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies are extremely different from anything we've seen before, and there's an ethos of freedom and independence that comes with these types of products, and we can see a type of money that hasn't been possible. So, for me personally, I got excited about that. I got excited about what it can do. We have a method of storing money, which is, we call it a multi-signature method. It's where I have a piece and you have a piece and somebody else has a piece, and you can't do this with cash. With cash, you've got it in your wallet or someone else has it in their wallet, but that's it. There's no way to actually have multiple parties come together and have computer algorithms decide when that money moves and how authoritatively it moves. So this is new, and that got me excited about Bitcoin and ultimately cryptocurrencies.
And so you've had transactions with China. How do you see the difference in China as far as uptake goes and here in the Valley?
So China is a very different beast than the United States. The United States is obviously still the largest GDP worldwide, but China has got a growing middle class, growing very, very quickly. Regulatory environment in the United States is much more mature. A lot more regulatory agencies, a lot more protections for both consumers, less for businesses always, but that's all in place and mature. China is not there. And China is almost more like pure capitalism in a way. I mean, we know that from a government perspective, they aren't purely capitalist, but from the way that people operate, there's almost more capitalism there. It's almost more dog eat dog a little bit. So the exchanges that have popped up in China have been extremely successful. They take a different tack. Just recently in December, the PBOC, the Central Bank of China, came in and said, hey, there's certain types of things you should not be doing. And these are things, of course, you wouldn't do in the United States. But this is new to China to have the regulators come in and say don't do that. And so trading volume actually overnight dropped by 85% in China. And people were like, what kind of impact is it going to have on Bitcoin? Now, there's a lot of reasons they had those trades. They have free trades there on the exchange. You don't have free trades anywhere else. And if you have a free ability to trade where it's really just kind of a database counting who has money, people build robots, right? So they do this in China to make themselves look bigger. So very different world there. But there's a very big need for alternate vehicles of currency. So the Central Bank of China, of course, is very concerned about outflows. They've got severe capital controls, different than what we know here in the United States. People take advantage of that like crazy just before the new year. In fact, as the calendar year comes around, that's when people are allowed to open up their $50,000 of money that can leave China. And so every January, and China's seen this the last few years, massive outflows of cash. And so the government reacts to that and tries to put in more controls. Those controls are not dissimilar from what the United States does. Governments want to know that funds are gained legally, that it's not money laundering. They want to know that they get their taxes. So those things are kind of in common between the two countries. But China's in a different state, growing very fast. Of course, a much more decisive government than what we have here.
And so I guess more possibilities for disruption there because things aren't as regulated. And I was wondering what you see the value is between the link between China and Silicon Valley.
Well, in the case of cryptocurrencies, cryptocurrencies are freedom of money. Actually, there is going to be an ultimate turf war fight about who owns money. Is money ultimately the property of the government and the government's control over you?
Historically, it has been.
Of course, historically it has been. Or is it yours? Is it your value? Is it something that you grow over time? And so, this is going to be a fight at some point. And I don't know if it'll be Bitcoin or some other coin or some, other vehicle. But cryptocurrency enables it. And so it is going to come. It's absolutely going to come. We've seen currencies fail, not in China recently, not in the United States recently, but Argentina, Venezuela. These are countries that have year over year 100% inflation. Imagine trying to save for a child going to college 18 years from now when every year the money is worth half of what it was worth last year. It's just not possible. These people are already seeking alternative forms of value store. Usually they use dollars. The government then comes in and says, okay, it's illegal to use dollars. That's now black money. So we see a lot of capital controls that come in as governments try to keep this turf that's been theirs for so long. Sometimes they're fighting other problems, like what we saw in India just in November. Demonetization effort suddenly turned 85% of cash into invalid money. And this is, again, the government trying to keep control. So do the people have control? Does government have control? And yeah.
Thank you. Well, look, I'm interested to hear more of this panel. You're a fascinating speaker, and I'm sure once you all get together, it'll be an incredible discussion. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you very much.